Hey everyone, it's Dylan from the Black Forest Wood Company. This week we're going to show you our process of creating this absolutely gorgeous 12 foot by 4 foot bath stone walnut dining table that has a solid black base layer and a clear top layer that we're going to deliver to this gorgeous home here in Calgary.
4 feet, and we want overhang on that side? Oh yeah, that's going to be good.
Yep. Yeah, in the rendering it touches here, there's a bit of resin here, and then it just touches there.
And then we'll be just over top of the thing here.
Okay, sweet. That actually works good.
I'll cut it as close as I can to straight with this edge.
This client selected a slab of bath stone walnut to create this dining table. So the piece that they ended up picking, it was close to 20 feet long, which allowed us to do a pretty unique layout for the table. We left the wide end of the slab almost at its full width, and then we cut off the narrow end, and we're kind of placing it not for a full river because it doesn't quite reach the end of the table, but we put it off to the side to kind of do this river / cast look. Once we've got the slab cut up, then we're using just a Sawzall and a wire wheel to make this end of the slab look a bit more natural. So once we have everything cleaned up, then we can go ahead and get this piece placed into the mold.
Is that in?
Yeah, that's in.
So once we've got those slabs placed into the mold, we can then start mixing up some of our Black Forest deep resin. This client wanted the solid black base layer in the bottom so that we can hide all of the mounting plates for the legs, and then a clear top layer over top of that solid black base layer. So to achieve this, we're actually using two different types of dye. One of them does happen to be the eco-epoxy dye, even though we're not using the eco-epoxy resin, and the other one is the Color Effects dye. And the reasoning for that is that we find the Color Effects dye gives, let's say, a blacker black almost, if that makes sense. It's like more jet black, but it doesn't quite make the resin opaque. So then when we bring in that eco-epoxy dye, it does a much better job at making that resin opaque. And as you can see, once that resin goes over the base of the mold, you can't see anything at all through there. Something else that we like to do is for these smaller voids, we'll usually fill up a smaller cup to fill those base layer sections in. Just because if you're not careful, you can spill some of that resin on the live edge that's going to be seen when you put the clear layer on. And if that's the case, you almost get this like black staining that goes up the edge. So then once our base layer has cured for about 48 hours, then we can come along and mix up the resin to pour the top layer. The timing is kind of critical for pouring the top layer over your base layer. There's two ways you can go about it. The best way is to wait about that 48 hours, like I mentioned, while your base layer is still a little tacky. Kind of the perfect point is when you can touch it, let's say with a popsicle stick, and it doesn't stick to the stick, but you can still leave an indentation in the resin. What that's going to allow for is a chemical bond between the two layers because that base layer is still curing, and it's the strongest form of bond that you can get when you're pouring two layers together. Alternatively, you can let that base layer fully cure, and then you can come along and scuff it with like 180 grit sandpaper. In that way, you'll get a mechanical bond, which is still plenty strong enough for this application, but I guess technically it's not quite as strong as that chemical bond.
I think that is my favorite part of resin color.
Yeah, go out nice and slow. Yeah, we're making contact. I wouldn't.
And this is our 16-foot by 6-foot Avid CNC that we're going to use to flatten this slab. This is a pretty time-consuming process because the cutter that we're able to put in here I think is only about 2.5 inches in diameter. It does do a very good job of getting these slabs flat though, where this is a little sneak peek for some of you, but we are looking at getting a new machine that's going to allow us to do this process much quicker. It's going to replace our current drum sander. It will potentially, if we end up doing this, it's a combination machine that has a helical planer head and 2 drum sanders in there, so we're quite excited about that. So the final size for this table is 12 feet long and 4 feet wide. We usually use our track saw for sizing pieces like this. One thing that I mention every time, it's always best if you're using the Festool track saw to go in multiple passes, just because that motor can't quite take the full thickness in one pass, and that way you're going to get a lot cleaner cut and ensure that you're not going to have like any burns or any like going off that line of your track when you're trying to make that straight cut. So then now that we've got the piece sized, we can start doing our final prep before we take this piece off to Gecko. So we're adding our badge on the bottom just with our logo on it. It's a cast pewter emblem that we add to the bottom of all of our tables. And then we've sanded the piece up to 320 grit. So because this client wants maximum durability, we're having Gecko apply their 2-component acrylic urethane finish to this. It does add a bit of a film or a plasticky coating over the wood, but it has almost 0 maintenance. And then we also apply some of our ceramic coating over top for additional durability. So unfortunately, we did miss applying the ceramic coating to the table, but I'm going to show you it on this table here in the office that is actually about due for a refresher. Many of you know we have our Black Forest ceramic coating. We have 3 grades of it. There's a gold, a platinum, and a diamond. Our gold and our platinum are significantly cheaper than our competitors that are out there. The diamond is a completely different product though than anything that's on the market. It actually has like little epoxy nanoparticles that are suspended in here. So as opposed to the old solvent-based coating, which after repeated application could actually end up breaking down the oil finish that you have on your table, this water-based coating ends up just taking the protectant onto there, then the water evaporates and just leaves that protectant on the surface. So it's really easy to apply. I've just added a few drops on my pad here, and I'm just going to go around the perimeter of about half of this table to begin with. And you can already see the increased sheen and contrast that it adds to this Clara walnut on here. And then I go over it a couple times, working that product into the grain. Then I take a microfiber, and it's very easy to buff right off of the surface. We also do have this table for sale that I'm applying this coating to. We'll put a link somewhere in the description, but it's our first ever table that we did with a granite inlay. I love the way that this table looks, and it's got a fresh coating of ceramic now, so it's even better.
Take these ones.
Cool. Yeah, that's the commencement. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So
All
if
right,
you guys
so
want to
which
come
way
down,
do we-
you guys want
bring it to us.
Okay, hang on. Hang on. Okay. Oh, holy shit. Okay.
Do we have the top on our side, Jack?
Yep.
Okay, so we're gonna lay it on this side.
Yep.
All right. Okay, so let's strategize here now that we're here.
If we lift up one end at a time, we'll unfold the blanket so that it's longer, and we can lay it on there. So we're gonna walk it that way and then fold it back down.
Okay, we'll go first.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Down she comes.
There we go.
Did anyone bring the microphones in? Not yet. Okay. We already have them.
Oh, you only one up there. Yeah. Wow. Take the easy side. We can't fold it down this way because we only have one bolt there and none over there. So we have to bring the whole table over this way and fold it up that way. Okay.
I'm just pulling myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see if I can push.
There we go. Thank you.
Okay, that's good.
Then
Now we
we'll
have to
lift the lid.
lift the table and kind of angle it over.
Pull that blanket in. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, I think
Keep going.
Further? No, we gotta go way farther.
Yeah.
Yeah, just tilt.
Why is that sound good?
Yes, we can.
Hey.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Let's go. Okay.
This way might be, I could go hair that way.
Hair
maybe?
back, and then we
Yeah.
gotta move over quite a bit.
I'm just gonna position it for you, obviously center underneath your chandelier there.
Right.
Too much.
We can also center it with that painting. That
We'll
will
sort of
match.
line up with the floor.
Yeah, which
more.
we're actually.
Your guys' end has to go 2 inches that way.
Okay.
Okay.
Like half an inch.
Chris, you might need to wipe the legs.
This is so late.
I know. Different from everything that we built.
I know. Yeah, you should find somewhere that mass produces these.
Yeah.
And then they
Well, thank you guys so much for sticking around to the end of the video and watching us create this piece. Also, big thank you to our client for being so awesome and very understanding. You know, there's a lot of patience that he had with us in creating this, but we're very, very pleased with how this came out. It looks incredible in the space. Couldn't have found a better home for it to go into, and we're just really pleased at how everything turned out. So again, just as kind of a recap, Bastogne walnut for the wood species. Then we used our Black Forest deep resin. We did a 1/2 inch thick base layer, a clear top layer. Then we sent this over to Gecko. They sprayed it with an acrylic urethane, and then we put our ceramic coating on afterward. So if you guys enjoyed, please leave a comment below, and we'll catch you next week. Hey everyone.